directed. We see some goal where we have to do something about it, and we do it. On January 22nd, 1973, our United States Supreme Court issued what we know as a decision of Roe v. Wade. What did Roe v. Wade do? Roe v. Wade, and I'm not going to go into all the specifics of this decision, but I will tell you what it did and what its effect was, and that's this. Roe v. Wade took something which was a crime forever, a vicious and violent crime. In the Hippocratic Oath, doctors for centuries had to take an oath that they would not administer a pessary to a woman to cause an abortion. They took this crime and they flipped it and they made it a sacred constitutional right. This is not like where we legalize marijuana or we say, or booze back in the Prohibition days. They're going far beyond saying legalizing it. They're saying it's protected. It's protected by our Constitution, such as freedom of speech, freedom to worship how we choose, freedom of assembly, freedom for a mother to decide to terminate her pregnancy and end that life.
There's a very interesting verse in the Bible. It comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. It says, "Before you were in the womb, I knew you. I made you special. I made you to be a prophet to the nations." And there have been over 60 million unborn babies that God uniquely created in His image and likeness that have not had the opportunity to experience all of the different things that Al talked about, right? You know, growing up, getting married, being surrounded by family, being loved, etc. And I think when you really bring a quantity to it, it really makes you have a different perspective on things.
Lincoln himself said, the problem with the slavery issue is that you can't speak about it in the North because it's not there. You can't speak about it in the South because it is there. You can't speak about it in churches because it's a political issue. You can't speak about it in political circles because it's a moral issue. You can't speak about it. The thing that made them crazy about Lincoln is he spoke about it. And what I'm asking you tonight, this morning, is to speak about it. We must keep talking about what is the greatest moral issue of our day. And you know something, we are given an opportunity in this particular time to take a stand on this issue. And that is the issue of the termination of pregnancies, of abortion, and in my mind, the slaughtering of millions of young people.
The abortion of a life is not just the abortion of a baby, but the abortion of a destiny.
Too many times we step back and we just pray, Jesus, do something. And Jesus is looking at us. When are you going to do something?
From the very beginning in Genesis, God said, let there be light. He spoke these words, and this is the only way through the spoken word that change occurs. Righteous change.
These are models of an unborn child at 12 weeks. This is in the first semester. This is what they look like. You know, what are they? You don't know what they are? You can't tell whether it's a human being or not? Tell you what, take one of these. Show it to a 3-year-old child and they'll tell you what it is.
The first weapon of mass destruction took place in the Garden of Eden by a serpent who told a lie. And as a result, it was mass destruction. We're seeing the mass destruction of babies because of a lie.
When we say that this is nothing but a clump of cells and it's not a human life, that's a lie. When we say that these are unwanted people, it is a lie. When we say that this is a woman's health issue, it is a lie. And most of all, when we say that what we're killing is not a human being, it's a lie.
My father was a doctor, and when I was growing up, abortion was criminal.
As a mother, I think about women that that have had abortions. I know women that have had abortions, and they're haunted. They're never the same after that.
And when Roe versus Wade was passed, and I saw what was happening in the medical and legal community, I thought, it's abortion. And I know the doctors I was going to happened to be abortionists, and I left them, so I didn't have babies. They were not going to be the ones that would deliver my babies. And I was aware of it, but then a friend of mine who was Catholic came to me and said, why aren't you a part of the pro-life movement? And that's when I became active.
One of the most simple statements about what we do or what our rights are, what freedom is, was made by Oliver Wendell Holmes, a Supreme Court justice in the 1920s, when he said this: "My freedom to swing my arm ends where the other man's nose begins." And what that means is my freedom to do with my body ends when I'm going to terminate the life of another human body.
And I liken abortion to the giant that was called Goliath. You know, everybody on both sides, if you look at the Israelites, they were paralyzed by the words that were being spoken by this giant. But it was one little boy, that's all it took, one little boy by the name of David. He rose up and he didn't just talk to this giant, he went and ran after the giant.
This is Crimes and Offenses in Pennsylvania. Listen to this. First-degree murder of an unborn child. This is in 18 Purton, section 2604. A criminal homicide of an unborn child constitutes first-degree murder of an unborn child when it is committed by an intentional killing. It is first-degree murder to intentionally kill an unborn child. Sounds logical. Wait. 2608, it says this: nothing in this chapter shall impose criminal liability for acts committed during any abortion or attempted abortion, whether lawful or unlawful, in which the pregnant woman cooperated and consented. So, on one hand, our legal system tells us that this is a serious crime, the most serious crime we have. It's first-degree murder. So we're saying it's the most serious crime we have on our quiver of crimes. Oh, mother consented? It's nothing. Folks, that is crazy. That's crazy. But it is the situation where people will not recognize the humanity of these little people.
Only God can say whether someone is a person or not. And God has, created all of us, all these babies. God created that child. And to say that it's not a human being, no one has that right.
We have to live a first commandment life. There is only one God. This is Creator, and this is who we must have allegiance to.
And it's very simple. When people ask me about or don't believe in the Creator, well, I will point to a building and I'll say, well, this building is the evidence there was a builder. And I don't know the builder, but the building itself is the evidence. There are some bouquets over here. You may not know the designer, but behind every bouquet is a designer. The painting that's on your wall, you may not know the artist, but the painting is the evidence there's an artist. Creation itself is the evidence there's a creator.
When you have a legal system that says that this obviously deranged woman who killed her child could be eligible for the death penalty, and yet the same legal system says that if a doctor performs this with a mother's consent, it's not punishable. It is a sacred constitutional right. You have a legal system which has simply lost its mind.
When I was first studying the horror of abortion and I read the details of an abortion, and anybody who sees the movie Unplanned actually sees the child recoiling away from the instruments of abortion when they go into the womb, actually pulling back, and then to have their bodies ripped to pieces.
Well, part of the problem is we have the technology now. We're much more efficient in our killing.
Because this is truth, and as the scripture says, truth will make you free. And so there are so many lies out there, there's so many voices because of all the different platforms we have. We need those that are going to speak truth to issue like this.
I like dogs. But would you suggest, when you're a society that values the life of 6 puppies more than you value the life of human beings, you are a society which has lost its mind?
I was marching in March for Life. I remember one sign that said, "Abortion leaves 1 dead, 1 wounded." And that's true. It leaves the mother wounded, it leaves society wounded.
It doesn't just affect the child, but it certainly affects the mother and her life as well, and there's healing that needs to come forth all the way around.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there is nothing consistent about my position on the death penalty and my position on the issue of abortion. I am against the death penalty because I have spent 50 years in the criminal justice system, a number of years, 8 years as a state and federal prosecutor, and 40 some years, I suppose, as a defense attorney. And what I have developed in those 50 years is a profound distrust of the decision-making process in the criminal courts. Innocent people are found guilty, guilty people are let go, and innocent people are pleading guilty. It's a mess. It's a mess.
We cannot live a life of idolatry where we're afraid of what other people are going to say to us, or we're afraid of how people are going to look at us, or we're afraid of how our income might change, or we cannot be afraid of anything in the world and anybody. We just need to fear the Lord.
So, what about these people? What about these people? What did they do to deserve the death penalty?
The Bible says the righteous are bold as a lion. We need bold men and women to rise up without fear and intimidation to be able to speak truth. And truth always has a way of overcoming lies.
The idea that we have a sperm and an egg, and they unite at that moment of conception, and a whole new being is created. And the DNA goes to both the mother and the father. You know, people say it's all evolution. It's not made with any guide or whatever. Please. The whole concept of the 2 genders, the 2 sexes, it's essential to evolution. You see, it's the breeding that changes things. It's that evolution. Ain't no male and female, there ain't no evolution, folks. And where do you think that came from? The guy that designed this thing.
And I believe hearing the truth of the matter from a scriptural standpoint, a legal standpoint, are going to set people free from that.
We are compassionate, right? Because Jesus was compassionate. But Jesus was also authoritative. So we go out with a compassionate heart to the mother in the unborn child. But now we need to stand up as Jesus did as an authoritative Christian and say, no, we don't allow this any longer.
Right.
If just because of what happened today, if one woman, spares her child, it was worth it.
I suppose you can impeach a pro-life Supreme Court justice. You can impeach all Supreme Court justices, and yes, you can impeach a pro-life president of the United States. But you cannot impeach what is in our minds and in our hearts. And from the abundance of our hearts, our mouths should continue to speak. Thank you very much.
But over 60 million babies aborted in America. Think about this. What would America be like today? Think of the professionals, think of the doctors, the attorneys, the preachers that would be right now in the planet today making a difference.
And we need to get the message out to, number one, stop the killing of unborn babies, and to stop the future haunting and the future hurt and pain of these beautiful women that could know and should know that they can have a child, and there's help for them, or they can adopt that child out and someone will love that child forever.